Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal 147 based on novel. So let's start. Thunder Celestial Messenger. Wang Lin's expression didn't change as he calmly looked at the four of them. He neither admitted nor denied it. Although Ran Yu's heart was in shock, she quickly calmed herself. After she saw that Wang Lin didn't speak, she began to speculate. Although Wang Lin's spells were shocking, the status of a Thunder Celestial Messenger was extraordinary, so she was suspicious as well. Moreover, what really made her surprised was that she couldn't see through Wang Lin's cultivation. This made her even more uncertain Wang Lin's identity. As for the remaining three, especially Sun Xueshan, they were very respectful. Especially Sun Xueshan, who was even excited to the point of fanaticism. After he heard Ran Yu's words, he was determined in his heart that this person must be a Thunder Celestial Messenger. Sun Xueshan respectfully said, "If Senior wants to go to planet Ran Yun, Junior is willing to lead the way." Wang Lin nodded as he sat on the silver dragon and flew toward the north. Sun Xueshan quickly followed with Ran Yu and company behind them. After flying for a short period of time, Wang Lin frowned. The four of them were too slow. Going at this speed would take 7 days. He pondered for a bit before slowing down the star compass and keeping pace with the four of them. He was foreign to the All-Heaven star system, so he wasn't anxious to rush around. Instead, it would be better to gain an understanding of the All-Heaven star system to make it easier for him to travel around later. Wang Lin calmly asked, "What other cultivation planets are around planet Ran Yun?" Sun Xueshan was secretly looking at the silver dragon star compass under Wang Lin's feet and revealed a gaze of admiration. When he heard Wang Lin, he quickly said, "Planet Ran Yun is affiliated with Planet Thousand Illusion, one of the major 5 planets in the Northern Domain. There are many other planets affiliated with Planet Thousand Illusion as well." He had some doubts about why Wang Lin didn't know this. However, thinking about how there were simply too many planets in the All-Heaven star system, he relaxed. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, but his heart trembled. Planet Thousand Illusion. Thousand Illusion. This name is very familiar. Back then, Zhu Qzi had a disciple named Liu Mai, who cultivated in the Thousand Illusion ruthless domain. There should be no connection. After all, this is a different star system. Northern Domain. It looks like the All-Heaven star system is divided into East, West, North, and South domains. It looks like I'm currently in the Northern Domain. Through just one sentence from Sun Xueshan, Wang Lin gained a vague understanding of the All-Heaven star system. At this moment, Ran Yu softly said, "Senior saved all of us, but we still don't know your name." Wang Lin calmly said, "Shu Mu." He didn't know when the All-Seer and company would come chasing after him, so he hid his real name. Surname Shu. Ran Yu's eyes faintly flickered and her mind trembled. She felt that Wang Lin's identity had become even more mysterious. Shu is the biggest family on planet Thousand Illusion. The Shu family is like a giant tree. Could he be from the Shu family? If she hadn't guessed Wang Lin's identity earlier, it wouldn't have mattered much hearing that he was named Shu. However, Wang Lin had shocked her too much earlier, and this caused her to question Wang Lin's identity. Now her imagination was going wild. After hearing Wang Lin call himself Shu Mu, even Sun Xueshan's pupils shrank, and he became more respectful. Ran Yu raised her head and asked, "Where did Senior Shu come from?" Right after she asked, she immediately regretted it. As a junior, asking such questions could easily arouse someone's anger. She then quickly said, "Senior, please don't take offense. Junior knows she was wrong." Wang Lin calmly looked at the woman. This woman was intelligent and very ladylike. It was obvious that she was the leader of these 4 people. "Do you know about Planet Dong Lin?" Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. His tone was very calm, so it was not possible to tell his current emotion. Dong Lin. Sun Xueshan's expression changed greatly. His gaze toward Wang Lin quickly turned from shock to terror. He subconsciously took a few steps back and his face became pale. Not only him, aside from Ran Yu, the other two's faces became extremely pale as well. Their gazes turned from shock to terror. Even Ran Yu sucked in a breath of cold air. All the guesses in her heart about Wang Lin's identity were swept away. Their reactions didn't seem to match their cultivation levels. Although soul transformation cultivators were not as cunning as ascendant cultivators, they wouldn't be so easily moved. Compared to them, these four seemed somewhat immature. Combined with his understanding, Wang Lin suddenly had a feeling that he understood something. It seemed like within these cultivation families, the family members rarely experienced deadly situations. Without experiencing countless life and death situations, then no matter how high their cultivation levels were, they would never become true powerhouses. Wang Lin calmly looked at the four of them. Do you guys know about planet Dong Lin? Ran Yu's expression gradually became pale and she respectfully said, Senior, planet Dong Lin is the #1 planet in the northern domain. It has another name, Dong Lin Slaughter. There is also something strange about the planet, which is that it is sometimes there and sometimes it just disappears. Ran Yu didn't say one more thing, and that was that everyone who came from planet Dong Lin were ruthless people. There once was a cultivator who came from planet Dong Lin and slaughtered an entire cultivation family. Planet Dong Lin was a terrible nightmare for most people in all Heaven Star system. After that, even Sun Xueshan didn't dare to look at Wang Lin. His heart was filled with uncertainty. He didn't know why this Shu Mu wanted to go to planet Ranyun. This doubt became even stronger in the hearts of the other three. This doubt became stronger and stronger in their hearts, causing them to become slower and slower. They were now somewhat unwilling to bring Wang Lin to planet Ranyun. However, even if this was the case, the four of them didn't dare to refuse. Although they were unwilling, their direction was still toward planet Ranyun. In their eyes, although Wang Lin barely spoke, this Shu Mu seemed to know everything. Many times the four wanted to change directions, and every time they were met with Wang Lin's cold gaze. Several days later, a blue planet appeared before Wang Lin. It seemed like oceans occupied most of the planet. From far away, planet Ranyun was very beautiful. It gave off dense spiritual energy that nourished everything. Through the four's expressions, Wang Lin knew that this was planet Ranyun. The spiritual energy from this planet was far above Wang Lin's home planet of Suzaku. Wang Lin moved first and the star compass turned into a ray of silver light that flew into planet Ranyun. Then the silver light disappeared and Wang Lin floated under the blue sky. Spiritual energy came from the ocean below him. It was even more dense. Wang Lin took a deep breath, then his body flickered and he disappeared. The four of them that led the way had ashen expressions. They immediately headed back to their families and explained everything that had happened. When Wang Lin entered planet Ranyun, a terrifying, dark red light was flying through the Alliance star system. This red light gave off a terrifying aura. It looked like a bolt of lightning as it flew across space, and it was giving off earth-shattering pressure. There was an old man inside the ray of red light. There was a vicious gaze on his thin face. What was most amazing was that he didn't use any magical treasure to fly through space. Every single step he took was as if he was teleporting. He wasn't alone. There was a woman beside him. She was an incomparable beauty. Her lips were red, her eyebrows weren't too thick or thin, her phoenix eyes were pitch black, and she had matchless beauty. Her shining eyes would cause anyone to lose their breath. Her 3-foot-long hair was split into 3 strands. One curled up behind her head with the help of a white jade butterfly pin. The other 2 strands casually hung over her shoulders. She was wearing a beautiful, light, flower imperial top. Below she wore a smoky green flower dress. While she moved, she was outstanding and dazzling. This woman wasn't any less beautiful than Red Butterfly. It won't be an exaggeration to call her a national beauty. In addition, aside from her appearance, she gave off a charming aura that made her even more attractive. She was following the old man. She didn't use her own speed, she was being brought along by the old man. Otherwise, even though she had reached the ascendant stage, she wouldn't be able to keep up with the old man. While they flew, she turned around and looked at the star system behind her, and her eyes revealed a strange color. It was as if she was recalling the past. It also seemed like she was sighing, but what she felt the most was a very complex feeling. I'm about to leave, the woman sighed. Maya, are you still reluctant to leave? The proud old man turned around to look at the woman. There was a hint of kindness in his eyes. Disciple grew up here and feels a bit reluctant now that I'm leaving. The woman played with hair and tightened her red lips. The old man laughed. There is no need to feel reluctant. Once your cultivation level is high enough, you can return. Although I didn't find the treasure I was looking for, accepting you as a disciple made this trip to the Alliance star system worth it. The woman smiled but didn't speak. However, her gaze toward the star system behind her became even more complex. The old man withdrew his gaze. The woman before him was someone who he met by chance a few hundred years ago. He immediately recognized that she was cultivating the 1000 illusion ruthless domain and was progressing toward the 10,000 illusion heavenly demon domain. This discovery shocked him greatly. The ruthless domain wasn't exclusive to one star system, and there were many methods of cultivating it. The key was comprehending the heart. However, for someone to be able to reach the 1000 illusion stage by themselves was rare, but that by itself wasn't impressive. What made him accept her as a disciple was the vague sign of her developing toward the 10,000 illusion stage. He was the head elder of the Huan family on planet 1000 illusion, the head planet in the All-Heaven star system's northern domain. He had seen many juniors in the family, and aside from a few people, none of them could match her talent. Even among those limited few, they were still lacking compared to her in terms of potential. This was why the old man immediately made up his mind to accept this woman as his disciple. After being together for several hundred years, he grew to love his disciple even more. He even gave up on searching for the heaven-defying bead to take her back to the All-Heaven star system. All-Heaven star system, planet Ranyun. At the moment Wang Lin appeared, 3 powerful divine senses rushed over. At the moment they arrived, Wang Lin disappeared and gave off no aura. 2 of them seemed to dread each other, so after these 2 searched the area, they withdrew. Only the other divine sense viciously swept across the entire planet. After finding nothing, it let out a cold snort and then disappeared. This person's cold snort spread across the entire planet and also entered Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin's figure appeared in a plane in the northern part of the planet. He raised his head to look at the sky and thought, 1 mid-stage ascendant and 2 early-stage ascendant cultivators. This all-heaven star system is interesting. Such rich spiritual energy, but this cultivation planet only has 3 powers, and each power only has 1 ascendant cultivator. If this planet Ranyun was in the Cultivation Alliance, I'm afraid it would have been robbed, taken over by an old monster in the 2nd step, or a rank 6 cultivation country would migrate here. There is no way such a planet would only have 3 ascendant cultivators in the Alliance star system. While Wang Lin pondered, his aura began to withdraw. In the blink of an eye, his ascendant aura disappeared and he only displayed the aura of a core formation cultivator. Wang Lin's cultivation was already at the early stage of ascendant and his origin soul was extremely strange. Unless there was someone with a higher cultivation level than him close by, it would be impossible to see through him with a mere sweep of divine sense. Of course, this was not the case for those old monsters who were in the 2nd step. I shouldn't be found if I hide here. Even if the All-Seer and company chase me to the All-Heaven star system, they wouldn't think I'd be hiding in a cultivation planet like this. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and gradually grew less fierce. Even though his eyes were still crystal clear, the eye-catching luster was completely gone. From the expression of those 4 little fellows, planet Donglin is extremely powerful. Before I'm strong enough, I can't go there. Wang Lin revealed a smile. A gentle, spring breeze blew out and then all the coldness on his face disappeared. He took out an ordinary-looking flying sword and flew off on it. While he flew, his appearance slowly changed. Not long after, his entire appearance changed completely. At this moment, even people familiar with him wouldn't be able to recognize him. Almost all high-level cultivators were good at this kind of appearance-changing spell. However, for high-level cultivators, this spell had too many weaknesses. Any high-level cultivator only needed to focus a bit to see some clues, and when facing people with vision spells, they would be able to see through the spell at a glance. However, Wang Lin was different. He didn't use the spell himself. It was casted by the celestial guard hiding in his shadow. Not many people could see through it. After flying for a short period of time, a city appeared before him. This city was surrounded by walls made of large, blue stones and gave off a commanding majesty. Above the gate were two large characters. Sun family. Wang Lin put away the flying sword outside the city and landed. He dusted his clothes and calmly walked toward the city. Maybe it was because they noticed that he was only at the late stage of core formation, but the city guards weren't too strict on the inspection. They merely told him that there were cultivation caves especially prepared for foreign cultivators. Wang Lin paid the spirit stones for temporary residence and received a token. Then he walked into the city controlled by the Sun family. There were a lot of mortals in the city, but there were also many cultivators. All kinds of shops that were filled with stuff cultivators commonly needed lined the sides of the road. Of course, there were some shops just for mortals as well. Wang Lin didn't feel any discomfort while walking on the street. It was as if he was someone from this city. Since he decided to settle here, he was going to find a place to stay. After entering the northern part of the city, Wang Lin immediately felt the silence and thick spiritual energy that covered this area. There were numerous solitary houses with restrictions guarding them. There was a restriction at the entrance preventing mortals from entering. There was also a 300 feet tall rock with 7 or 8 black token hanging on it. There was a nascent soul young man sitting under the rock. He had his eyes closed with stream of hot air coming out of his nose. Wang Lin stood outside the entrance and looked inside. The restriction was extremely simple in his eyes. He didn't even need to break it and simply walked in without causing any reaction from the restriction. As he was looked at the restriction, the young man under the rock opened his eyes. He looked at Wang Lin and said, "There are only 8 open rooms. Which one do you want?" Wang Lin's expression remained the same as he calmly asked, "Are there any differences between them?" The young man revealed a look of impatience and said, "The upper rooms cost 1,000 high-quality spirit stones and the lower rooms cost 100. Wang Lin pondered for a bit before taking out 100 spirit stones and placing them down. The young man revealed a look of contempt as he waved his sleeves and collected the spirit stones. He took a token off the rock, threw it toward Wang Lin, and said, "The 5th house from the west, go." After that, the young man closed his eyes and focused on cultivating. Wang Lin caught the token and looked at it. There were 2 restrictions on the token, and one of them was to get through the entrance. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, put the token away, and walked inside. At the moment he entered, the young man under the stone opened his eyes and muttered to himself in contempt, "Another foreign cultivator who wants to borrow the spiritual energy of my Sun family to form their nascent soul. How can forming one's nascent soul be so easy? This person's talent is pretty average, even reaching core formation stage was probably due to pills." Wang Lin naturally heard the young man's words. He turned around and looked back before continuing forward. Soon, he arrived before the 5th house from the west. The house looked simple, but it was filled with spiritual energy. After looking around the room, Wang Lin was satisfied. There was only one bed and a meditation mat. There was also a pill furnace and a semi-enclosed closed-door cultivation room. Although it was small, it was very elegant. Outside the room, Wang Lin casually waved his hand and perfected the restrictions on the house. This made the restrictions 10 times more powerful than before. He sat down in the lotus position inside the room and breathed in the thick spiritual energy. His expression relaxed as the spiritual energy filled his body. Shortly after, Wang Lin released a mouthful of foul air and revealed a hint of regret. "It has been a long time since I cultivated spiritual energy. Unfortunately, no matter how dense the spiritual energy is, it won't raise my cultivation level." Almost all of the celestial jades in Wang Lin's bag were depleted when he broke through to the ascendant stage. There weren't enough left for him to cultivate daily. There are 5 drops of the celestial liquid left. The 4 drops I took when I was under the effect of the celestial ascension fruit allowed my body to have endless celestial spiritual energy, but that obviously won't last long. In just a few years, the celestial liquid in my body will be used up and I won't have endless celestial spiritual energy anymore. Also, 1 drop of this celestial liquid allowed me to break into the ascendant stage, but the amount of celestial spiritual energy required after is much higher. Consuming some now won't have the same effect as before. Instead of wasting them now, It is better to save them for when I'm injured or when I need endless celestial spiritual energy for a short period of time. Considering all of this, the first thing I need to do is obtain enough celestial jades for my daily cultivation needs. The sky outside gradually darkened, causing the room to darken as well. Wang Lin waved his hand and the candlestick immediately lit up with a crackling fire. The house was immediately enveloped by the light from the candle. There was a fist-sized blue bead on the ceiling. The smoke from the candle rose up and was absorbed by the bead. Soon, the bead was filled with smoke and began to lit up. This phenomenon aroused Wang Lin's interest. He had never seen such ingenious design. He looked at the blue bead that was as bright as the moon. Half an incense stick of time later, the bead inside glowed brightly and a blue light fell. It was very soft, but it extinguished the candle. The bead was now the only thing lighting the room. There are 3 restrictions inside the bead. The 3 gather the smoke, turn the smoke into heat, and use the heat to produce light. In this respect, the all-heaven star system is much better. A faint smell of sandalwood came from the bead. This small calmed people's hearts. The 3rd formation is this sandalwood smell. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Not only was there no poison in this smell, it could actually speed up a cultivator's cultivation speed. It was an uncommon alchemy material. While sitting inside the room, the outside was completely silent. Wang Lin pondered for a long time and a thought suddenly entered his mind. After pondering for a moment, he erased that thought. Stealing is beneath me, and after all, the amount of celestial jades I need is something only ascendant cultivators would have. Maybe some of the big families here have enough. However, if I do this, I would have to leave planet Ranyun and go somewhere else. So that is not a good plan. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin raised his head and made a decision. He slapped his bag of holding and some refining materials flew out. He spat out a mouthful of origin energy and surrounded the materials with it. The materials quickly melted and formed 3 molds according to Wang Lin's divine sense. A flying sword, a bronze mirror, and a hairpin. Wang Lin's hand formed a seal and countless restrictions landed on them. Gradually, the 3 treasures began to release pressure. Also, because they were refined by Wang Lin's origin soul, lightning would sometimes appear on them. After placing down the restrictions, Wang Lin pondered a bit, recalling the cultivator back on Suzaku that had the domain of time, cultivator who used domain of time on Wang Lin to let him experience a domain. Wang Lin later made wooden carvings that contained the domain. With his current cultivation level and due to having his own Dao, he was able to imitate it pretty well. With a wave of his right hand, the bronze mirror fell and the time domain entered it. Then Wang Lin recalled again. This time it was Liu Mai's 1000 illusion ruthless domain. Endless illusions flashed across his mind until they eventually turned into a ray of light that entered the hairpin. As for the flying sword, Wang Lin didn't leave any domain inside it. He placed a teleporting imprint inside the sword. After waving his right hand, the 3 magical treasures glistened and landed in Wang Lin's palm. They slowly rotated while giving off dazzling light. They were very eye-catching. The quality of these treasures couldn't be compared to real celestial treasures at all, not even low-grade ones. However, celestial energy could be used to activate the domain and spells left on them. Even without celestial spiritual energy, cultivators below the soul transformation stage could activate these treasures with their spiritual energy, but their power would be a lot weaker. Wang Lin whispered, pseudo-celestial treasures. These were the highest quality magic treasures he could make. After all, Wang Lin only had a rough understand of treasure refining. Most of his understanding came from the jade from the country of Hu Fen back on Suzaku. Generally speaking, he couldn't create these kinds of treasures. However, Wang Lin had his own Dao and his cultivation had reached the ascendant stage, and the most important part was his control over restrictions. His gaze withdrew from the 3 treasures. He wasn't satisfied with these treasures. After pondering for a bit, he picked up the bronze mirror and began deducing the restrictions. If I can give this treasure an inheritance effect, the price will definitely increase by a lot. Wang Lin closed his eyes and continued the deductions. Ordinary treasures only allowed the user to imprint their divine sense so they could use it freely. However, once it was stolen, The new owner would only have to erase that divine sense and it would become theirs. Only inheritance treasures required not only a divine sense imprint but also a special method to control it. Thus, even if someone else obtained it, they wouldn't be able to use it. Therefore, magical treasures with inheritance were valued much higher among treasures of the same rank. Wang Lin's Billion Soul Flag and Godslayer War Chariot were this kind of treasure. He closed his eyes and began pondering about the secrets of inheritance. However, only grandmasters in treasure refining would have methods to refine treasures with inheritance. Those methods wouldn't be easily spread, and those kinds of treasures were rarely refined. That was why inheritance treasures were rare. Not long after, Wang Lin opened his eyes. He frowned and muttered, "Inheritance. I can't see through it. Maybe I'm thinking about this problem in the wrong way. I don't need to figure out how to make it require inheritance but simply place a restriction on it. Then I'll sell the jade to release the restriction along with the treasure. This way, even though it doesn't have an inheritance, it has the same effect." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. The key point of this pseudo-inheritance was the strength of the restriction. If the restriction was strong enough that no one could break it, then even though it didn't have a real inheritance, it would have the same effect as a real inheritance treasure. Restriction deductions flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. His left hand formed a seal and placed a restriction on the mirror. Then his left hand didn't stop and he continued to place restrictions on the mirror. These restrictions combined together to form a complicated black rune. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin looked around the room until his eyes landed on a candle. He pointed at the candlestick with his left hand and it immediately lit up. When the smoke was about to be sucked away by the bead on the ceiling, he caught the smoke and pressed it on the rune. The symbol immediately began to melt and became a strange strand of smoke before entering the bronze mirror. Then he touched his bag of holding, took out a jade, and left the method to break this restriction inside the jade. After putting away the bronze mirror, Wang Lin didn't put the pseudo-inheritance restriction on the remaining two magical treasures. Outside, the sky was gradually getting brighter. Wang Lin closed his eyes and began to cultivate. The sun covered the sky and slowly dispersed the darkness. Wang Lin opened his eyes, got up, and pushed open the door. The sunlight hit his body and a warm feeling immediately appeared in his mind. The spiritual energy around him was very rich right now, so it immediately made his mind very clear. A calm feeling filled his heart. Wang Lin's body flickered and he walked forward. As he passed through the exit, the young man under the rock was still cultivating to absorb all the essences of the heavens and earth. It wasn't until Wang Lin's figure was far away that the youth opened his eyes and revealed a flash of contempt. Which of the foreign cultivators didn't spend all day cultivating and absorbing as much spiritual energy as possible? Although this person's talent is ordinary, it can be made up for with hard work, but this person gave up cultivating in the morning when spiritual energy is most dense. I'm certain that this person will never be able to form his nascent soul. The youth withdrew his eyes and began to cultivate again. His speed became even faster as if the spiritual energy he was absorbing now was stolen from someone else. When Wang Lin came yesterday, he saw that there was a free market on the west side of the city. There were many cultivators exchanging magical treasures and materials there. There aren't many nascent soul-level cultivators there, so it is not the best place to go. Wang Lin pondered a bit before looking toward the youth under the rock and walking over. Wang Lin clasped his hands and said, in gentle tone, "Fellow cultivator, I wonder if there is any place in the city that deals with high-ranked treasures." The youth opened his eyes. Aside from the contempt in his eyes, there was also a hint of impatience as he coldly said, "The whole treasure pavilion in the east side of the city." After that, he stopped looking at Wang Lin. Wang Lin faintly smiled and left. The youth sneered. He's only a little core formation cultivator and he wants to exchange for high-ranked magical treasures. I'm afraid he doesn't even have the qualifications to step into the pavilion. After walking out of the northern part of the city, Wang Lin casually walked toward the east side. There weren't many mortals here, mostly cultivators. The shops here also had much more imposing atmospheres that came from both sides of the street. There were even some shops, perhaps due to the customs here, that had incredibly large spirit stones in front. These were not refined spirit stones, so they retained their original shapes and gave off thick spiritual energy. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a look of interest. These kinds of displays indeed told everyone the power of these shops. It has to be said that ordinary cultivators couldn't possibly dig spirit stones like these out of spirit veins. The sizes of the spirit stones were also related to the shops. Some of the spirit stones outside the shops were 20 feet tall. Just the presence of each spirit stone created a sense of pressure. There was even a shop with high-quality spirit stones outside. This discovery immediately made Wang Lin interested in this store. He carefully looked at the store. This shop wasn't large and only had 2 floors. Although it wasn't as majestic as the surrounding stores, it was very elegant. There was a giant plaque with the fancy written characters, "Green Bamboo Pavilion." Wang Lin didn't go in, he withdrew his gaze and walked forward. On the eastern end of the city there was a huge pavilion. There wasn't just one spirit stone outside this building, there were 8. These 8 high-quality spirit stones were 30 feet tall and seemed to be placed in a formation. They gave off waves of spiritual pressure. This pavilion seemed to have fused with the surrounding. Just looking at it, it felt a bit illusionary. There were long strips of spirit stones with 3 words carved on them, "Whole Treasure Pavilion." A pressure was spreading out. There was even a hidden layer of restrictions preventing divine sense from checking inside. Wang Lin didn't force his divine sense in, as he wasn't very interested in the Whole Treasure Pavilion. Wang Lin stepped inside but immediately frowned. He saw a middle-aged man walk out from the pavilion and block his path. He examined Wang Lin and calmly asked, "Does fellow cultivator not know my Whole Treasure Pavilion's rules?" Wang Lin's expression was neutral as he calmly said, "Oh? I wonder what the rules are." The middle-aged man was extremely shocked at Wang Lin's calm expression. He had seen many cultivators, and aside from those old monsters, very few cultivators could be this calm under the pressure of the pavilion. "There are 2 entry rules and 1 exit rule in my Whole Treasure Pavilion. Those below the nascent soul stage can't enter. Those without 100,000 high-quality spirit stones can't enter. Those that don't make a trade can't exit." Wang Lin frowned slightly. The middle-aged man saw Wang Lin's expression and suddenly realized something. He asked, "Does fellow cultivator have 100,000 spirit stones?" Wang Lin didn't have many spirit stones inside his bag of holding. After all, once he reached the soul transformation stage, he primarily used celestial jades. The middle-aged man smiled. "Fellow cultivator does not meet the requirements to go inside. Even if you go inside, then I'm afraid that you won't meet the condition to leave. Please return. Will you accept this treasure?" Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he looked at the middle-aged man. He slapped his bag of holding and the flying sword that he refined appeared. The middle-aged man glanced at the flying sword and revealed a hint of contempt. He was able to tell at a glance this flying sword was refined by a very poor method and that there was nothing special about it. Even the sword's light was extremely bleak. He didn't even use his divine sense and could tell with his naked eyes that this flying sword was extremely poor quality. It probably wasn't even a low-quality magical treasure. He was responsible for verifying for the Whole Treasure Pavilion for many years, so his eyesight was very good. He had seen too many people with low cultivation levels try to sell treasures that they thought were very good. In his mind, Wang Lin was one of those people. This flying sword treasure presumably had its abilities, but the middle-aged man wasn't interested. He smiled and shook his head. "We won't accept it. Please leave." Wang Lin coldly looked at the middle-aged man before turning around and leaving. When Wang Lin's gaze landed in the middle-aged man's eyes, it made him feel like cold water was suddenly poured over his head and his body trembled. Wang Lin's gaze was like 10,000-year-old ice. It caused his nascent soul to freeze and almost collapse. Terrified, the man took several steps back and his expression became extremely pale. He looked at Wang Lin walking away, completely speechless. In his heart, he vaguely felt like there was something unusual about that flying sword. At this moment, an ancient voice came from within the pavilion. "Lu Feng, what happened?" The middle-aged man quickly turned around and said, "Elder son, just now a cultivator came to sell a magical treasure." An old man walked out from the pavilion. He had a hunched back and looked very old. His face was filled with traces of time and his gaze was very dim. He looked at the middle-aged man and calmly asked, "What kind of treasure?" This video will end here.